So when you get your login instructions for your website, you are now able to take control of it, to get in and manage the site and work on adding products, optimizing the site. What I want you to do is come back to this video a couple times a week over the next month or two. So continually come back to it and review what I talk about in here to make sure that you're staying on track and doing only what is needed. Okay. So to go to your login, this login page, you just type your domain name and after the .com put /admin, ADMIN, and that will bring you to the login screen, and you're going to log in as a returning customer. And so you'll just enter your email address and the password that was sent to you in the email with the login. Okay. And then once you're logged in, after you click login there, you'll come into this dashboard screen. And Volusion by default has this list of steps to get started, and they talk about learn the basics, design the storefront. You're not going to pay attention to any of that. In fact, I would suggest you come over here and click hide getting started steps, because most of this has already been done for you. Okay? And all of it can be accessed through these links at the top of the page, and this is where you're going to go, is through these links up here at the top. Okay? So as you hover over each one of those primary menus, they've got these sub-menus that come up. So if you want to set up your tax settings, you've got a link there. If you want to change anything with your company info, you've got it there. Most of what you're going to work on will be... So basically there are just 2 or 3 main things that you need to focus on as you move forward. Under inventory up here, this is where you can add products. If needed, you can add categories. Okay, but only add categories when they're needed because you have products already in your site that need a new category. Don't go out and get crazy adding categories just because you watched the webinar about adding categories and it tells you that you can. You don't have to have subcategories. You don't have to have color subcategories. You don't have to have brand subcategories. Those things don't have to happen and shouldn't happen until it's logical, because you have enough products already in your site that it makes sense to add those additional categories. Okay? That's one of the most important things I want you to remember as you get started, and that's one of the reasons I want you to come back and watch this video I'm doing over again, is to remind you that you don't have to create more categories just because you can, just because you see it in a webinar. So for the site the way it is right now, this site has just 2 categories, rangefinders and rifle scopes. If you decide to, if you go in and fill up as many rifle scopes as you can get from your supplier and you've filled that category up, then go and fill up the rangefinders. And once you've filled that up entirely, if you decide that you want to add spotting scopes, well, then you could go and add a spotting scopes category. But then before you add any other categories, go put products into that one. Don't leave it out there empty for a week or two. Get products in it right after you create the category. Okay? So again, don't create categories just because you can. Don't go through and create 10 or 20 different categories and then come back to start adding products, because what you've got to understand is every page you add, every time you add a page to your site, a category page, a product page, you've got hours of work that have to go into filling that content. Products, for example, you want to copy over the info from your supplier to create a product, but then you've got to go in and rewrite it into your own words. Everything needs to be original, so don't leave it just with the copied info. Go in and make sure that anytime you're adding a product, you're updating it, you're changing the verbiage into your own words. You can say the same thing, just say it different, because Google doesn't like to see the same exact content over and over just copied on the internet. They want to see original content, and if they don't see that you're creating something original, they're not going to pay much attention to you. Therefore, you're not going to get lifted up in the rankings and get visitors. Okay, so it's a big part of whether or not you get traffic is how you work with the site. So how do you learn all this and what to do? Well, you go to our training website, the webinars by topic, and you're going to go in here to the website design section. Once you've worked on adding products and optimizing the site, which is talked about in here, then you can go on to the marketing webinars. So once again, this is why I want you to watch this video multiple times over the next several months, because the work that we're going to talk about today, the basics I'm going to discuss, are things that you will do over the next year in your business. This isn't something you're going to do in a week. This is something that's going to take you a lot of time. You're going to work on it slowly. It takes time to work on a website, okay? So the first thing I would suggest you do is we come into the website design section and just start watching these Volusion webinars. Now, since we've created your website for you, you know, if you're working on a site that is already done for you, then you don't have to worry about this prerequisite of registering a domain. That's already been done. Most likely the Gmail account has been done. So basically you'll go through these webinars, and anything that has not been completed for you, you'll want to watch. I would definitely start watching at Volusion 1 and Volusion 2 just so that you get familiar with how to do that. But again, don't go in and add a bunch of categories just because you see that you can in this webinar. You can come back to these anytime in the future to learn that again and add more to it. Don't build up a website full of categories that's going to cause you hundreds of hours of work to try and catch up on. Okay? That's very important. I would actually say that the most important thing you'd want to start working on is just getting familiar with adding products. So go in and don't add more than maybe 5 or so per week for now. And add just a little bit over time. And that's important because Google wants to see freshness to your website. It wants to see that it's continually living and growing. So if you're adding just a few products a week over a period of months as your site grows, that is going to be far more beneficial than going in and dumping 100 of products in 1 month and then working on the other work. Add slowly to the site. Let it grow slowly over time. Be patient with it. You will get a lot more out of it if you do it that way. You'll get a lot better traffic a lot sooner if you let this grow slowly. Okay? Now, once you've learned how to do these things, you can go through these other webinars here, but down in webinars 7, 8, and 9, you're going to learn about optimization. And so this is going to be an area where you learn about taking and applying keywords into your pages properly. Now, in order to do this part here, you're going to have to skip down to another section of the website. So when you get to about after you've watched down through 6, testing the site, doing a test order, then I would say let's go back to top. So again, another reminder, come back and rewatch this webinar periodically. Even if you haven't completed all of what I've talked about thus far, you're going to come back and remind yourself, oh, Mike said do this first or do that first, right? And that way you're getting this reminder so that you realize when you do get to this point, in fact, anywhere along in this area, especially if this is getting to be too tedious, too much information for you, then you can switch it up a little bit. So we'll go back to the top, and we're going to go to marketing. And under the marketing, I want you to watch these first few webinars here that talk about keyword research and beginning marketing that kind of set the game plan for the future. So this gives you some understanding of where you're headed, what you're going to be doing. This marketing game plan talks about optimizing the site, content on the site, and how you use these keywords. And this keyword research will help you understand how to use keywords, how to get in and do the research to find what keywords people are typing in to find your products. That is very crucial. That's important. It needs to be done, and this is not a one-time thing. You're going to come back to this keyword research stuff over and over and over throughout the first 6 months to a year of the life of your website. Okay? There's a lot of work there. It's hours of work and a lot to understand. and it's not going to happen immediately. Once again, this is something where you need to come back to these webinars and review them. Just like you're going to come back to this video and review it, you're going to come back to these and do this over and over again. And you might come back and do some keyword research for every product, especially every new product and every new category you add to your site. You're going to come back to that keyword tool and research it again. Okay? So these are very important to help you get started as well. So, and then once you've gone through these, then you know a bit about that. Then we can go back to the top and go to the website design again and come into these optimization webinars. And that's where you're going to learn how to apply those keywords into your pages and where to put them. And so you'll do that work there. Okay? So continue doing that as much as you can. And then once you get comfortable with all that website stuff, optimization, and the keywords, then you can move on to the other supplementals and do that other work. Okay? So a lot of work. Again, this is something you'll do over a period of the next year or year and a half of your business to slowly be doing the marketing and the optimization and learning all of this. Let it take time. Be patient with it. As you have questions, email me. You can still continue to email me as much as you want with this, and if we need to schedule a call to talk about any of these topics, we can do that as well. Okay?